Hey guys, whether you are a camper, a survivor, or a militiaman, or whatever your purpose is, welcome to my channel. I appreciate having you guys here. It is awesome. We have gone in the past over some of the different options for bugging out because, the world's kind of a crazy place and a lot can happen. And in the last video, we talked about a more combat-centric bug out system. And you really, if you don't know where I'm coming from right now, you need to go back and look at some of the other videos, different ideas for different scenarios, because bug out can't be, there's not one bug out kit that fits all occasions. That's not how that works. Every situation is going to be different, be it short-term bugging out because of a storm, or long-term because of just absolute government collapse, or anything in between. There's all kinds of different scenarios and all different situations you need to be prepared for. And so what we're doing now, in our last video, we talked about going to FTX, and that was the plan. And because I got sick, it didn't happen. I didn't get to go. Now, if you know me, you know that I have an immune disease, and that it's not AIDS. I had stage 4 colon cancer, and I'm a survivor. The downside of that is between the radiation and the chemotherapy, it attacked my body to where my body no longer recognizes itself. So my immune system attacks my organs and my bones and my nerves. So I have a lot of health issues that have come as a result of surviving cancer. But we don't need to get into that. So the point is, we talked about the third line, the third system that we put into our bug out scenario, and that is our packs. That's all the different things that you're going to carry for extended stay. Now we're going to get into first and second line. Right? So if you don't understand what those are, we're going to get to that in just a minute. You guys sit through my little opening while I take a sip of drink here because my throat hurts. Hang on. All right, so as I was saying, there are three line systems. If you're familiar with that, it's basically you have your extended stay pack, your bag, your day bag, your recce bag, extended patrol bag. You have different kinds of bags for different scenarios. And last time we talked about the bag we were going to use for a likely combat scenario where we are actually going, the world is at war and we have gone out to an open field somewhere, the edge of an open field, and are camping out as sort of a sentinel who's going to protect, everybody in the camp. So we're going to be camping out there and potential conflict, very high potential for conflict. So that's what we talked about last time. This kind of plays into that, but at the same time, this is a little bit more universal because while the bags, they kind of really depend on what you're going to be doing, other systems, you get a little bit more room to play. The first and second line of defense here they're a little bit spacier. So what I'm going to tell you is not what you should do, but what I do and the reasons that I do it, because that makes a big difference. We all have different physiques. We all have different capabilities. Everybody has something else going on. Now, I'm going to say this and listen carefully. Please don't start with the comments because you have to hear this part. I am not an operator, okay? If you are an operator, if your goal is to go into World War II as some kind of, heavy-duty, high-speed, deep into the chaos operator, you need different gear. And if you want to look into that high-speed gear, you need to be seeing Garand Thumb's videos, okay? That guy is a high-speed operator. You want to know how to be a high-speed operator? Watch Garand Thumb, okay? Just look him up. You'll find him. But that's not what we are. We are old dudes, okay? Most of us. We're old dudes. We're tired. We're beat. We got problems. I can't walk. Most of you know that I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. That means that I can walk a little bit, but I fall a lot, so it's not safe for me to walk a lot. So I have to sit in a wheelchair more often than not. I can get around a little bit around the campground or around the house, but anything more than a couple of, maybe a couple of 100 yards, I cannot do, no matter what. A couple dozen feet, it can get a little hairy. So I have a different scenario than you do. So please consider, things are different for you than me. But that said, we're not operators. We're survivors. This is a survivor scenario. So we will be geared up a little differently. Another thing to think about is, a lot of you go looking for, military guys, right? So yeah, I played Army for a little bit, but, you look at military scenarios and what are those guys carrying? What's the military? What are these recce guys carrying for their backpacks? And what are they carrying on their gear and all that? You're not in the military. I mean, if you are, and you do your own thing. But most of us who are either part of this or watching this, are not currently in the military. And why does that matter? Well, because in the military, everything is geared toward, all of the logistics that are stacked up behind it. When you go out into the woods in the military and you run out of blank, you call it in and they bring it to you. They deliver it to you, right? You have hundreds of people per combatant backing him up with logistics and supplies and all these things. Now in civilian, if the world breaks into war and we are on our own, we're not going to have backup. We're not going to be able to carry 2 or 3 mags, and if we run out of ammo, we just call it in and they bring us more. We're not going to be able to do that with food. We're not going to be able to do that with anything. We're on our own. And I think we'll get into a little bit of the medical problem there too, something that a lot of people don't consider, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So, all of that being clarified, all the administrative stuff being taken care of, let's talk about first line, okay? First line is the stuff you're going to carry on your person, the stuff that you need all the time so you've bugged out, right? You're out in the woods, you've established a camp with your third line gear, your backpack is all unloaded and everything's set up and you have a place and everything's going, right? So while you are there, you won't want to be decked out in all of your gear most of the time, a lot of the time, right? You're going to want to sleep at some point. You're not going to want to wear this when you're sleeping. Trust me. You're going to want to, go potty. You're going to want to cook. And there's going to be times when you don't have this on. And when it's time to, go to guns, you want to be able to get that on quickly so that you can fight and not have to stop and look for everything, right? So you do need that. But for this particular scenario, we're already at the campground. We have, the things that we have to have on us. What are those things? What do I carry when I'm going? Well, this is where we start talking about the battle belt. All right, the battle belt is usually known as the first line, right? So everybody looks at their nice, cool little cummerbund battle belt with all the stuff all the way around it. And that's my first line. I just clip it on and run into battle. Great. You're right. That is a good plan. But for this guy, that's not a good plan. And there's 2 reasons. There's 2 reasons that it's kind of difficult for me. A lot difficult for me. The first, and probably most obvious, is I have a colostomy bag. My colostomy bag hangs down below the belt line. I cannot have a cummerbund around my waist. It'll cause enough abrasion on that I'll actually bleed out and die. So I can't do that. So this is not an acceptable idea for me, right? So no cummerbund for me. If you can do it, the second thing you have to think about is that if you have to get into a vehicle, which you're going to have to do on the onset, right? Because the whole point of bugging out, you're not going to throw it over your shoulder and run down the street. You're going to get in the car and get as far as you can in the vehicle. Then you're going to throw it over your shoulder and run into the woods or wherever, right? So you want something. If you have a battle belt, put it on and go out and get in your car and drive around the neighborhood for a while and see how that works for you. You're going to be hating life in that. You might not even fit into the car. You might not fit into the seat between the console and the door. It might be bulky enough that it won't fit. That's a problem. If you intend to have that as your first line, that could be a problem. So you need to, build that into your system, understand that potentiality for your system. So, You know, for me, it's all belt line stuff. I just put it on my actual belt. Now, the thing is, there's two ways to do that. There's the common way, which everybody threads everything through their belt. They have all this crap on their belt. That's cool. You know, it's neat during the day. But when you have to go to the bathroom and your pants fall off because they're, you know, covered with weight, all that weight on your pants, and you got to fight to get it all put back together, that's kind of a pain. It is a little difficult. And mostly, when you go to sleep at night, it's really, trust me, I've done this, and if you think not, then do it. Thread all that stuff onto your belt and go camping. What'll happen is you'll get to the campsite and it'll be time for bed, and you'll have to either sleep in your underwear, which in this kind of a scenario is probably not wise, because you could get, you know, you could have to wake up and go quickly. So that's where the battle belt's nice. You lay it next to you, you go to bed, you wake up for whatever reason, slap it on and go. It's the fastest way, but again, because of my health issues, not so good. But getting back to the point, if you try and go to sleep with all that stuff threaded on your belt, you're not going to be able to sleep. Well, if you can, more power to you, but I can't sleep with all that crap on my belt. I need to take it all off. I can sleep in pants, but I can't sleep in pants that has, you know, a gun and ammo and you know, all these tools and medical, all that crap wrapped around me. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. So I don't do it that way. Look, chances are when the time comes when you got a bug out, you're probably not wearing, you know, full battle rattle anyway. You're not in camo pants, which I am right now, but that's, you know, just because it's a nice day and they're comfortable. But chances are I'm not going to be wearing camo pants. I'm probably going to be in cargo shorts, right? And I'm not going to have everything belted in or looped through my belts. So what I do is I just have everything sitting, you know, you have this guy here, and then just below it, you can't see it, I have everything that would go into my pockets stacked up. So here's what we're going to do. When I come in here, you know, the shit hit the fan, pardon my French. I come in here and I load up all the stuff that you can't see, all that neat little kit that I showed you in that first bug out video, that goes into the bed of the truck. Just all kinds of, you know, tents and gear and this and that. All that goes into the bed. All the kids' clothes, all the food, all that stuff goes in the bed of the truck. So then I'm coming in here to get combat ready. I come in here and the first thing I do is I grab my little Israeli bandage, right? And I shove it in my pocket. Something goes wrong, I'll put it in my cargo pocket because I'm always wearing cargos. All right, so something goes wrong, I have an Israeli bandage in my cargo pocket. They are amazingly useful all the way across the board. It's not like, you know, your tourniquets that are only useful for one thing. An Israeli bandage is useful for a lot of things, So it's handy to have that on your person, in your pocket. Bam, doesn't weigh anything, doesn't take up a lot of space, fits easily. You got your bandage, right? So then I take my little signal mirror, right? A little green signal mirror here. And I shove that in my pocket, right there next to it. So now it takes no weight or no space. It has no weight. It's not a problem. I throw that in my pocket too. So I have those two things in my pocket, right? Earplugs, extra set of earplugs. Keep that in one of my pockets, right? I'll put that in one of the higher pockets up here. While I'm at it, identification. My wallet is a thin little wallet that has everything I need in it. That goes in my pocket, right? In my other pocket, mosquito wipes. Dude, I live in Florida. You die without these. You die without these. So the mosquito wipes are necessary. I put those in my pocket, and they're thin, doesn't take up much room. One wipe will get you through a day or two, right? If you know me, you know that I always carry a cigarette lighter and I wrap it in duct tape, right? Because I'm not a believer in the strikers. Dude, I live in Florida. You're not going to start a lot of fires by striking flint. And it's heavy, it's bulky, and it's really difficult compared to this. And I have one of these in every pocket of every bag I have. You can buy a case of these for $14. You can buy 100 of these for $14. Wrap them in duct tape, put them in all the pockets. They don't weigh anything, dude. They are so super light and they don't take up any space. And guess what? I can just shove that right on into my pocket. I'm good to go, right? If I need to start a fire, I can start a fire. A pen light. See the pen light? Now, this doesn't cast a great deal of light. It doesn't. It's a very, it's a dull pen light. It is cheap. I got it free plus shipping from Wish, and it works most of the time. but it works enough. Like, I've never had it fail when I needed it. But it's not something you need a lot of. But there are times when you're in the woods where you don't want the super bright, you know, I can light up a frog's ass from 400 yards. Sometimes you don't want to be seen. So you just take the little light that has just a wee bit of light. I don't know if you can even see the light going on here. Just a little bit of light to be able to see what you need to see. If you got a splinter and you don't want the world to know where you are, you can just do this and you can see it, right? It's a great idea. So I take that, and the other advantage of it is I can take it up here and clip it onto my hat, and it's like a headlamp, see? So it's effectively the perfect headlamp to not have to be wearing a big sweaty band around your head all the time. Just throw that on your hat and you're good to go. And it doesn't weigh anything, it doesn't take up any space. So it goes right there in my pocket. Easy peasy, right? A knife. Now this is a cheap MTech, I think it's called. Yeah, MTech knife. I think I spent $6 or $8 on it. I have cut down a 3-inch tree with it. If I can find that video, I'll roll it in. But I have used it, I have batoned it to cut down a 3-inch tree. Now in doing so, it loosened up. Hear it? It loosened up. It's not as quality as a lot of things out there, but shoot, for $8, I can buy 2 or 3 of them. And this is for the last, you know, the worst case scenario, and it's a knife. So I take that knife, and it's also a bottle opener, because I like to drink. So we go ahead and put that on that pocket. It's not weighing me down, right? And finally, my holster with my firearm, okay? Now, why? Why do I do it this way instead of threading it? Is it better? No, no. It's sloppy. It'll move around on you. It'll slide back and forth. There are 50 reasons why these suck for most purposes. But when you go back to the whole thing we talked about, okay, it's bedtime. I'm tired. I mean, absolutely fatigued. I don't want to have to undo my belt, unthread this, and go to sleep. Nor do I want to have to thread it back on or put my belt back on when I wake up in the morning. So I just take that, slide it over my pants. I have a holster, I have a firearm. Chances are I'm not going to have to go to that gun anyway. And if I do, then things have gone pretty bad because my AR is out of ammo. So, you know, it's for this purpose, that's the best way to do it for me. Whoops, didn't mean to hit the mic there. For me, that's the best way to do this. So whatever you want to do, but like I said, that's how I do it. So that is it. That is my first line. That's not very impressive, is it? It's not a lot of stuff. Well, this isn't combat. If this is combat, it's you know, disengagement combat. The point is not to engage in combat, it's to break contact. And that's why you don't gear up the way they do in the Army, because in the Army, the point is to engage in contact. Not in a bug out, dude. You want to get away from every fight you can. You don't win unless you don't fight. That's the truth. The reality of it, none of you want to accept, is get away from fighting. You don't want to fight. But you have to have all this in case you need to break contact. So that is the first line. Hang on just a second. I'll get you into the second line.